Hello, and welcome to another edition of Inventor's Quick Tips. Today we are discussing a case of when you have a complex invention with many possible claims. The question arises, what is better, one application with many claims or multiple applications with fewer claims? Again, I refer you to the disclaimer. This is not legal advice, but just information to give you some things to consider if you are in this situation. Now, when you file a utility patent application in the United States, you typically get this included in the fee. This is referred to in the industry as 320, 3 independent claims and 20 claims total. And in the description to this video, I will post a link to another video that explains claims in a little more detail if you need more information on what the patent claims actually are. Now, how much do extra claims cost? If you want to go beyond the 3 independent claims and or 20 claims total, you'll pay extra as follows. Note that the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office has different fee structures for large companies, small companies, and recently defined something called a microentity. I won't get into details of all the different entities here, but I've highlighted in yellow the small entity fees. Some individual inventors may qualify as a microentity for a reduced price. But as we can see here, for each claim in excess of 20, it's a $50 fee. For each independent claim in excess of the 3, it's an extra $230. Similarly, if you have many pages of written description, you can end up paying an extra fee. In my experience, this is unusual. However, many people do run into having extra claims. So let's talk about how that might play out. Let's say we invented the Vote, the very omnipotent, awesome toaster. This is a contrived hypothetical example so we can illustrate the decision-making process. So let's have fun and pretend we just invented this fantastic toaster. Our toaster has many awesome new features. First up, improved temperature control. We have novel ways to have the toast toasted to the exact level we want. Next, we have built-in fire detection. If the toast starts burning, we can detect it. Next, we've got built-in fire suppression, a mini fire extinguishing system right here in the toaster for improved safety. Finally, we have a built-in Wi-Fi that enables remote control and monitoring of the toaster. So now that we have our invention, how will we handle the patent application filing process? Just to recap, we have multiple things that we can claim in each of these areas: Wi-Fi remote access, fire detection, fire suppression, and temperature control. For the sake of example, let's say we have 15 different features involving Wi-Fi remote access, 19 features for fire detection, 16 features for fire suppression, and 15 features for temperature control, giving us a total of 65 total features that we can claim. Now, if we do that, we are going to be paying over $2,000 in extra claim fees. Now, you might be saying, well, that's fine. I care about all these claims. I care about all these concepts and functions of my invention. So fine, I'll spend the extra $2,000. But here's a caveat. In certain cases, you may find yourself spending all those extra claim fees and not getting the benefits. Let's go into that. What if we file a single application for our toaster features that has all 65 claims? Well, as we already said, we'll pay a lot in extra fees, over $2,000 for a small entity, but that can potentially cause us to lose money. Let's see why. A restriction can cause us to lose money. A restriction means that the patent office is not going to examine all of the claims, even if you paid the extra claim fees. And again, check the description to this video where I have a video explaining more about restrictions and what they are. But basically, a restriction means that some of your claims will not get examined in this application. If you want to have those claims examined, you'll need to file an additional application. And extra fee payments may not be recouped. So in that case, you would have spent money for extra claim fees, and yet you may have to file another application to get them examined in the end. Why would we even get a restriction? Well, there's two main reasons that I've seen. One is distinct features. For example, the patent office might view that fire suppression and temperature control are different features. So a lot of times that will happen. As the patent rules state, you get one invention per application. So different features are often considered to be different inventions. And we'll come back to this more in a bit. The U.S. Patent and Trademark Office won't admit this, but based on observation, it's evident that sometimes a large number of claims, even if all the claims are part of a related topic, can trigger a rejection. It may not be fair, but that's how it happens to work at times, and this is often at the discretion of the patent examiner, the person who's assigned to examine your particular application. So given that, what are our strategies? We could file one jumbo application with all the description and 65 claims to cover all our inventive concepts for our very omnipotent, awesome toaster. We could file multiple smaller applications for each feature, Wi-Fi, fire suppression, and so on. Or a hybrid strategy that I find is good for various situations. File a first application with a large, comprehensive, detailed description of all the features, but has a smaller claim set near the 320 limit. Could have a few more than 20, but nothing too crazy. And that first application will focus on one of our areas, let's say temperature control. That will be our parent application. And later, we will file child applications that refer to the parent application to get the original filing date, but claiming a different area of our invention. And let's see how that looks visually. So here is our parent application, and we're talking about our written description here. This is just the written part, sometimes called the specification of the patent application. And here we're going to describe each feature in detail. So we're going to talk about temperature control, Wi-Fi, fire detection, fire suppression inside our toaster. And for our claim set, we're going to focus on the heating element with improved temperature control. And this will become our parent application. It describes everything, but we're just claiming the temperature control. Next, we'll file some child applications, such as for Wi-Fi, fire detection, and fire suppression. Now, after we've gone through this, we may decide that, sometimes these features, they interact with each other, so they're not totally separate. For example, we may have an application that talks about how the fire detection interacts with the fire suppression system, right? So maybe if we are burning rye bread, then we use a carbon dioxide fire suppression. But if we're burning whole wheat bread, then we use a foam-based fire suppression, right? Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But sometimes features interact with each other. As long as we've described everything together in our parent application, we have the option to file child applications that talk about this interaction. Now, another thing to keep in mind, especially if you're using a professional to prepare your applications, is that typically these child applications will have reduced preparation costs as compared to the first application. Why? Because you're essentially using the same written description and the same drawings, so it really becomes a matter of preparing a fresh set of claims for the most part. So that is another thing to consider, and your patent professional could go over this strategy in more detail with you. So what's the takeaways of all this? Here's some considerations for you. Support as much as you can in your written description. So when you're writing up your application, support as much as you can, as much details. If features are truly distinct, such as fire suppression versus Wi-Fi in our example, consider separate applications. Lastly, if there's many possible claim opportunities, evaluate based on commercial importance if you need to reduce your claim count. So in our toaster we said, well, there's 65 possible things we can claim, but now we have to look at perhaps what's most commercially viable. So if I had a heat source of a micronuclear reactor inside the toaster, well, that's probably unlikely, so I would throw that claim out if I had to cut back to keep costs in mind. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into this kind of strategy. Once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Inventor's Quick Tips.